Hi, I'm Rowenna Miller, and this is my daughter Nora and my other daughter May, who's photobombing us. And we're going to talk to you a little bit today about children's clothing and how it's different from adult clothing in the 18th century. Usually we would be excited to join everyone down at the market fair, but since we can't do that this year, we thought we'd put on our clothes. What do we call these, Nora? Our camp clothes. Yeah, we call these our camping clothes. And talk to you a little bit about what we're wearing. So often, people will say that children in the 18th century looked like miniature adults, which maybe that seems that way to modern eyes because they're wearing kind of more formal clothing, or it's kind of stiffer. Girls are wearing like long dresses like this, but in actuality, kids' clothing was different from adult clothing in quite a few ways. First off, we are all wearing, one thing that is the same is a shift. We're all wearing a shift under our clothes. It's just a long white linen garment that we wear as our first item that we put on. And everyone from little babies all the way up to grown-ups, grown-up women would wear a shift. Grown-up men would wear a shirt that's almost the same thing in a lot of ways. After that, we have different clothing that we put on. We're all wearing gowns, but those gowns are different in a few ways. One of the big ways that the gowns for kids and the gowns for adult women are different, is that a girl's gown laces up the back like this. And a woman's gown closes in the front. Mine closes over a stomacher. You can see the side there where it comes apart. It's all pinned together. So my clothes are pinned closed. That's how I'm keeping my gown on, is that it's pinned. Whereas the kids have clothes that lace up the back. You can kind of see that. And in fact, if Nora turns around, you can see her dress is getting a little small, so you can really see the lacing up the back. Now, little boys and little girls both wore gowns up until they were around 4 years old or so, when you could really rely upon them to be potty trained. And this is what the gown looks like not on someone, and you can see it's pretty simple here. It's made of a bodice in the front and a skirt, and it laces up the back. And a gown like this could be worn by a little boy or by a little girl. Now, little boys could also wear little gowns that closed in the front called robes, but they could also wear these backlacing gowns. And these backlacing gowns worn by little boys and little girls make finding if it's a little boy or a little girl you're looking at pretty difficult. So they looked very much the same up until they were 3, 4 years old, potty trained, and the boys were moved into breeches just like Dad might wear. One other thing you'll notice on the back of this gown, you want to hold that one up? Hold that. And on the back of May's gown are what are called leading strings. Now, sometimes you'll read that these were used to help children learn how to walk, but I find that they're very helpful when someone's getting a little too close to the fire or running toward the road. You can grab them and stop them from getting into too much trouble. Now, Nora is too old to actually need leading strings anymore. She stops when I tell her to stop usually. She hasn't fallen in the fire or anything, so she's doing pretty good. Even girls her age or even older might still have leading strings on their gowns just as an affectation to show I'm still a kid. Now, as girls got older, when they hit around 11, 12, 13, 14, in there, those kind of middle school years, they would start to wear gowns like a grown-up would. Now, I have a gown of Nora's that's not quite finished yet. No, we can't. We're going to talk about that right now. Okay. Can you go and get the bodice off of the TV? Okay.
What's the bodice?
The top part, the only other part that looks like this, okay? Now, while she's doing that, I'm going to show you something else. Sorry, the cats dragged these off the table. Girls and grown-up ladies also both wore aprons, but you'll see that girls' aprons typically have a top part to them that pins onto their clothes like that. So the pin pins onto their clothes and then it ties on. For English women and American women of English descent, this was very rarely done to do this as an adult. Instead, most adult women have an apron that just is basically a big rectangle gathered onto a waistband that ties on like this with no bib on it. Some other ethnicities, like French women and Dutch women, did wear bibbed aprons, and honestly, it's kind of smart because it keeps the front of your gown from getting messed up. Now here's the bodice of Nora's gown so I can show you even more. This is just two pieces that go together. So the top is a couple of pieces of a bodice fitted, and you can see pretty clear those eyelets that are going to be used to lace it closed. And then the skirt is actually just, watch out, honey, a big rectangle that's going to be pleated and attached to the bodice. Now, one thing that we're going to do with this that we've done with all of the girls' clothes is to put growth pleats in them. And if May can pop up here really quick, you can see that her skirts have pleats sewn into the hem so that I can let those out as she grows a couple of inches and we get more wear out of her clothing. Now, adult women's clothing is adaptable too, but in a different way. I don't have to worry about getting any taller, but I do have to worry about my weight changing, especially as I'm having kids, right? This gown with the front clothes and the stomacher has gotten me through a couple pregnancies, postpartum, and nursing, all that weight change, because the front changes with me. And my petticoats are just like the skirt of this gown, just big rectangles gathered onto a waistband. So they expand as well. I can just, tie them a little bit looser and they still work even when I was 8 months pregnant. I wore this stuff with May. So clothing was made to be very adaptable and change with your sizes so that you didn't have to make all new clothing every single time. Yes, I did. So I hope that you have enjoyed our little presentation on children's clothing. We hope that we can be back at Locust Grove next year. You too? Yeah. So we hope that we can join you next year down, if not in the spring, in the fall. If you see us around, please feel free to come over and play. Thanks a lot, and say bye.
Bye. Bye.